Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups of Chico. My name is Tim Sharkey. I'm one of the organizers here for the 1 Million Cups. I would like to thank you for showing up today, helping the community build a better self by giving everyone an opportunity in our entrepreneurial ecosystem to have a chance to share their ideas and their passions and their dreams, and to get feedback in a safe place for them to come every week. So if you know somebody that fits that kind of bill and needs to share their ideas and their crazies out, well, let's bring them to this kind of group. I need more of these around here. Don't we, Annie?
Yeah.
So we have 1 Million Cups is a weekly presentation all across the United States, 163 different chapters, all getting together to do the same thing, share ideas. It's put on by the Kaufman Foundation, and the 1 Million Cups represents the 1 million collective cups it takes to run a business and every day. So this is my 4th cup, and I am just on fire now. So coffee does run throughout the whole thing, not only coffee, but waters and drinks and beers and wines. And just everything throughout the day, when you get collected to share your ideas with someone. So really what it's about is bringing the community together and having a safe place. So all of it takes a community, and part of that, the organizers here. So organizers, like to say thank you for showing up today. We have Danny, and we have Ken, well, Ken's more sponsor. We have Heather with the chamber. We have Roman, who helping us out. Eva, myself, Wendy's not here. And then our sponsors, which is Garden Villa Cafe. They have this awesome facility every week, so come and try to come, please. We also have Danny Schwartz with the marketing, social media, and Ken with his awesome technical audio-visual help every week. Really appreciate that. So this week we have one of our last Chico State Center for Entrepreneurship students. We have Jason. He's going to be presenting his project he's been working on, and it's called HotSpots. So Jason, you have 6 minutes. Why don't you come up and tell us all about it, and then after we'll have 20 minutes of question and answer.
Perfect. Thank you everyone for being here. Just want to start off with a quick show of hands. How many of you guys enjoy experiencing a city's nightlife, whether it's Chico's or when you're traveling to a new city, kind of getting a feel for what it's all about? Perfect. Well, I'm 23. I still love Chico nightlife. I love experiencing new nightlife. And last summer, I was in Chicago for the first time ever. I was with my brother. We're at Wrigley Field. We got to go watch the Cubs play, and we're drinking a couple beers, and game ends. We're like, dude, we don't want a night at the end. Let's go see what Chicago's all about. If you've never been around Wrigley Field, bars everywhere. You can't throw a rock without hitting a bar. And so we're walking around. It's Friday night, but all the bars are dead. We're like, man, what's going on? So we're on Google, we're on Yelp, we're trying to figure out, what's going on right now. And, we end up frustrated an hour later, said, let's get the train back to the hotel, grab a 6-pack, and we'll enjoy the rest of our night, just hanging out. And that's what we did. And, we're on the plane back, and I'm thinking, that was a lot more frustrating than it should have been. And it's not the first time it's happened either. I've had it when I first moved up to Chico, didn't really have a network, didn't really know what was going on in Chico. So the ultimate question I came up with is, what's hot right now? In any city I'm at, when I'm out on town and I don't know people there, not really familiar, what's going on right now? And, that's the problem I want to solve. Ultimately, what we want to do is connect nightlife seekers to nightlife opportunities. And we do that by enabling users to discover the hottest venues and promotions in their local area live. So what I've been working on throughout the semester is a mobile app designed to achieve just that. Here's some screenshots of the app I've been working on since January. Obviously, you got a home screen where you can find the latest promotions and events. Obviously, an easy navigation bar. Here you can see a map, so you can discover all the venues around you. The only thing missing is a heat map. What we're going to do is take all the users' locations and develop a heat map so you can find the hottest spots around you in a live setting at any given time. And then obviously you have venues and events. You'll be able to pick out venues based off your preference, whether you want to just play pool, looking for food, drinks, whatever it may be. And then events, whether it's shows, festivals, concerts. You'll be able to find everything live right there. One of the biggest questions people ask, how do you plan on making money? For an app, we don't plan on charging any of the users. Our biggest revenue maker will be directly from the venues. Venues will be able to promote events and their specials, deals, whatever it may be, directly on our app to our users. And then we'll also be able to promote advertisers. If they've got a product or service that's relevant to our user base, they can also advertise locally or nationally as well. And then to get a little feel for the potential user base here, we're focusing mostly age group 20 to 24, around a college age group. US total, it's about 22 million potential users. California, we're looking at 2 million. And break things kind of down, I don't want to head in the clouds. Our first focus will be here in Chico. We think it's a great market to start with. We're looking at about 20,000 users, 10,000 specifically at Chico State, age 21 to 24. Our goal is to get 2,500 users within the first year. Roughly 25% of Chico State students say that they go out at least once a month, or at least once a week, and that's the target demographic we really want on this platform. And then just to get a little feel for the roadmap that we've been on so far, as of December 2018, I pitched to the Chico State Accelerator Fund. I got accepted for a $5,000 grant to continue this project. And then over January up until now, June, we've been working on the mobile app and developing out the project itself. Looking forward, June through August, we want to do some beta user testing for the app specifically. And we also want to work more with vendors to develop the app so it works well with them as far as an advertising platform goes. And then September this year is our goal for our first public launch. And then as far as my ask, thank you guys for being here. I know this is really quick. My big ask as I'm moving my step forward is if you guys know any venue owners, any vendors that would be interested in helping me give feedback as far as developing this app platform, love to hear from them. I'd love to hear from you guys. Looking forward to get feedback. And then obviously, feel free to connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn. Our main website right here, HotSpots.com. You can go check us out. And then if you guys have your phone or laptop or anything, you guys can actually try the app demo free here. HypeLiveApp.com, just put it into your browser. You don't need to sign up, just click skip, and then you'll be able to play with the app as it is right now. And thank you. If you guys have any questions, I'm ready to take them.
Are you going to make it interactive for folks that are at a particular venue?
That's a good question. Possibly. It depends. I mean, when you get to a venue, we don't necessarily want you stuck head glued to the phone, but it can be. So what exactly do you have in mind as far as interactive?
Let's say someone's at a venue and they're having a great time. I think that a good size for this would be that people can interact hey, we're at whatever venue, having a good time, so that your app is kind of interactive to what's going on.
That's a great point. I've actually thought about that before. So on, let's say, the map view, like I said, what's missing is like a hotspot, like a heat map. So let's say everyone's there on Friday at Riley's and you see this red hot heat map. You'd be able to click on it, interact with the people there. So maybe you can message people beforehand and say, hey, what's the line look like? Or, how's the experience there? You could talk to people there. Or even if you're inside the venue, maybe you can message people. There's things you can do, I'm sure, to make it more interactive. And it's a good point. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, just to add on to that, I do think that there's room, but I really like what you're doing now. It's simple. You're not trying to do too many things with one app. I have seen other presentations similar to this, what was one by now? Nightlife. There are other things with this general idea that people are trying to do, but I think you've done a better job of actually executing it. I'm curious, the numbers that you had, how are you going to actually acquire those people? So just because they're here doesn't mean all those people are gonna get onto your app. So what's your do you have a rollout for how you're gonna acquire those users?
Yes, great question. So as far as our go-to-market, so as far as getting users, we want to get local student ambassadors. We want them out on the town. We want them on campus, talking to potential users, trying to get them on. We want to utilize their local networks. to get users on. And then we're also going to use in-venue marketing. So as we get venues on board, we want bartenders talking with patrons as they come in and say, hey, look, if you download this app, get a free drink, get a free meal, whatever it may be. And we want to provide, value to these users. And as the more users come on, word spreads out. That's how we plan on adding more users.
I think as just thinking about what Jamie said and thinking about your plan, I think it's simple in between them would be adding a feature where once people use the deal or something, they can share it on social media or something and create more engagement that way. Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I take notes as well? I don't have the best memory. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe have friends are at the venue instead of just a mere hotspot.
Like a hashtag to Instagram or something, right?
Right.
That you could show back to the venue that they're getting engagement.
Right. Makes sense. Yes.
So how do you see catering to the vendors in the venues being at odds with the users, right? Because the vendors have a very clear motivation.
Right.
So how do you align those two interests between like what's hot and you've got a crappy bar that is happy to provide promotions to get people there, but it's dead. That doesn't help somebody's cause who's looking to go into a pop spot.
Well, that's a good point. As far as promotions go, venues are free. They're free to promote whatever specials they want. But like I said, with the heat map, that'll be able to show you live where exactly everyone's at. So what a great part about having a live heat map like that, so you can see everyone's there at Riley's on a Friday, but let's say maybe you don't want to go to the hotspot, maybe you want to go to the Bear. You realize the Bear's not as packed, you can go there instead. So having this live view of where everyone's at, you can kind of see where everyone's, where the hotspots actually are, and it's kind of doesn't mix with the promotions necessarily. So they can, venues can try and create a hotspot by adding promotions, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. And we're not going to tell people that, a venue that's promoting one, half off on drinks is a hotspot.
I guess a follow-up question to me is what would differentiate a vendor to use this platform versus utilizing social media or platforms that they're already using? They're probably spending money, right, on advertising, but the dollar spent for social is super, super low. Mm-hmm. You can do deals, you can do offers, you can do promos. What's the benefit of using your app versus using platforms that they would already be utilizing?
Well, ultimately, I think it comes down to engagement. I mean, you'd have to take a look, and this is something that I'd have to sit down with vendors and talk, and that's why I'm, moving forward, I need to sit down and talk with more vendors is, what kind of engagement are they getting on social media? Maybe they're advertising, me and Tim talked about Yellow Pages the other day. Maybe they're in newspaper, whatever it is. What kind of engagement are you getting, and what kind of ROI are you getting on these ads? And that's
their own app, their own venue.
Well, and that's another thing as well. I mean, some restaurants and venues do have their own stuff, so it's a matter of what's the ROI, and that's not to say I don't have an answer necessarily for that right now, but yes.
This gentleman.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I had a question about your heat map, but I think an answer to your question of what's the value of this is the immediacy, being able to just look and see what's hot right now. I mean, you could go on Facebook events, you can go on different websites and platforms, and you could try to figure out what's popular, but this is literally showing you. So to me, that's what I think is interesting about it is what's happening right now. I want to go out, boom, we can see.
Well, that's a value to the user.
Right.
And I'm just
We're
curious
thinking more
about
vendors.
the vendor.
Well, if they provide a good, hot environment for people to go to, then it's going to be reflected in this. And
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a
that's a great
businessman.
answer.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good response.
But is your heat map based on just user data, or are you going to hit the Google APIs and try to pull in just community?
As much data as we could possibly get.
Because you could do because I heard someone else ask about how to engage your social network. You have different layers on your map, friends layer, to show where your friends are at right now. You'd have just the hotspot layer, so users, where is hot for users. Then you can just do a community layer and show just where people are. All this data is out there for you to hit. So.
Absolutely. Well, I agree. I mean, and this idea is it's still in its infancy as far as what I can do. And I'm not a very technical person. This is what I've been able to cobble together myself. but having a developer on board will be able to go a lot farther as far as what this is capable of.
Then you're also generating your own data, location data that's also a valuable product.
Right, exactly. So you had your hand up?
I think this is a really good way to get the word out that something great is happening in Trenton. Right? But I would just put out a caution, when you have people sign up, be sure you have some kind of disclaimer, use at your own risk, or something, so that they can't come back at you and say, well, I went here because your app told me to go there, and something bad happened.
That's a good point. That's a good point. When I've actually heard about, I've discussed it with someone briefly as far as liability, and that's actually a good thing to keep aware of, especially when it comes to drinking venues and stuff like that. Yeah. Good.
I have a question about notifications.
Mhm.
I wanted to understand what your push notification strategy is.
But it can be kind of touchy with, I know Apple doesn't like you promoting coupons and specials through push notifications. I know some companies get away with it. I'd prefer push notifications to stay more towards a person's preferences. So let's say an
So it
event.
would be an opt-in.
Yeah, it would definitely be an
Opt-out,
opt-in.
But they have the option to opt in.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, on the back end of it, is it the vendor that's inputting the information? Like, would they have their own login? So like, I'm wondering, because it seems like that would eliminate some of that liability issue, right? So if it's
Yes.
the vendor that's going in, putting in all that information.
Yes.
The only person,
So you're not responsible.
if there's a deal that goes wrong
or something.
Right, but at the same time, we also want to filter everything as well. I mean, we want to keep this real premium. We don't want spam, we don't want venues spamming coupons, promotions. We want to keep this valuable for both sides. And we want campaigns that work. We don't want you just throwing up campaigns that don't necessarily work. So we want to have hands-on really everywhere, both
So you're planning to
sides.
do the actual data and inputting of the information, like,
Yeah, at least filtering it, at least filtering to make sure, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you working on this like a real business? Like, is this something that you're dedicated to building into a real business?
Yeah, yeah.
And with that said, 2,500 years like this is not to poo-poo the goals, but consumer apps that have any real success, the growth rates around adoption are dramatically higher than 2,500 users in a year. It's like, if this truly added value to consumers, broadly speaking, like, why would the goals to get users be so low? Like, why not shoot for 100,000, 200,000 users? Like, there's truly that type of adoption and value to the product.
Well, that's a good point. One of the first things I learned at Chico State is when you're pitching, be as conservative as possible. Obviously, I'm probably a little bit too conservative, but just as far as Chico goes, we were just basing that number off of, let's see if I actually have the numbers here. We've got 11,340 students focusing just at Chico State. And roughly 25% say they go out once a week. So it comes out to about 2,500 users. Obviously, there's going to be more that'll use it, and this is just Chico State. And Chico State's small. You're looking at 17,000 students. You look at a school like Cal Poly, you're looking at 30,000 plus. So just being really conservative on the initial rollout at Chico. But after that, at month 18, when we first ran our financials, we want to be in 20 college towns at a year and a half. And after that, the growth rate's exponential. It goes higher. But I do agree.
So on that note then, what do the economics behind this business actually look like? And have you done analysis on other companies? Like, for example, Pocket Points is another business. It's a great precedent that's been set. There are a lot of other consumer-based businesses with similar rollout strategies that you're following.
Right.
Have you done research on those guys to see what helped them be successful, their adoption rates, the economics behind their launches? Have you done that type of research?
Pretty briefly, as far as what I do know as far as adding users to an app and getting them to sign up with a profile, it's going to cost you about $9. And when we ran our numbers, we were looking at about $6 revenue per user per month.
And what is the precedent for
It's based off of other apps' assumptions. Unfortunately, without having our own data, we don't know exactly what those numbers will look like. So everything's just based, it's all
Based on
assumptions.
Other businesses that are similar.
It's, yeah, I don't want to make any absolutes as far as basing off other companies, because every company's different, every app's different. So it's kind of tough to get those numbers until we actually start getting real users on board, vendors on board. But I wish I had a real answer for that. And that's probably something I should look into even more. But I agree.
We're trying to figure out the revenue model. I definitely say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So is there any, sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh,
So is there any, say I'm walking down Main Street and do I get a push notification that Duffy's is having a special? And because I'm within a block or two?
That's a good question. We can actually set up geofences around businesses.
Yeah.
So when you walk in front of, say Duffy's, you can get push notification, a coupon, or some sort of message that would prompt a user to, enter the business.
So you have a built-in geofence already?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
I used to work for a company, I used to be part of the family of a company in the year 2000 that we tried to do this way too early.
Y2K.
Way too early. But it worked really great.
Right.
And we had an adoption rate across the United States within the first year of about 75,000
Wow.
without hardly any, it was all word of mouth. But it was just too early, it was easier sell to the end user than it was to the vendors.
Right.
But now vendors understand.
The value of that.
Yeah.
The only word of caution I'd give you is just be maniacally focused on the problem that you're solving.
Mm-hmm.
So, it sounds like the core is helping people find in real-time places to go.
Right.
Everything else you've described, and this is not a negative criticism, those are solutions to other problems, right? So for example, the vendor element, you're solving a vendor's problem of making more money.
Right.
That's a different problem to solve than helping me find a hot place to go on Friday night. There may be alignment there, but I think being very precise about the problem you're solving is probably helpful.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm also would be cautious about using Chico as your first. I know it's easy because you're here and the people are here, but to me, this is the problem you're solving is more applicable in bigger cities. We travel a lot, and I would love this app specifically in foreign countries. Like for an American who is abroad, being able to see things right there, deals, where to go, not being overwhelming, or even in larger cities like New York and San Francisco. So I would just be cautious about this being your first rollout because in Chico is such a small area and it's so easy to know all of those things already. I would just think about also exploring a larger city as you're starting to roll that out. And then another thing to think about is you're mentioning that you are going to have your hand in actually inputting the data, which is fine for a city like Chico, right? You might not, you said 45, you might 45.
Yeah. But you go to San Francisco.
You're talking about 600 plus vendors, hundreds and hundreds of actual places. It's going to be a very different model. So starting to think about what that looks like and how you can execute it on a larger scale would make sense to me because I still kind of feel adamantly that the most cost-effective way with the least amount of liability is allowing the vendors to input the data themselves. That doesn't mean that you do not have a screening process, right? So that doesn't mean that they put it in and it automatically shows up on the front end. It could potentially be they're inputting it and you go through and make sure it meets whatever criteria you've identified and given to them. But I think doing that all yourself without them having a role in inputting it is the long term for that business model is gonna get very
More sustainable. Okay.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say that you do filter.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
But also.
Just as simply as our event calendar on our chamber website, people submit all of that.
Right, but you still.
Something weird about that, you know what I mean? So,
right, exactly.
We're gonna make it like, okay,
yeah.
So, sorry, I'm sorry.
That's a good point.
One more piece to kind of tie it to Danny, like what she's saying is, so like when you look at big metro cities, it's going to be also create a different set of problems, right? You're going to have people that want to go to bars, sports bars, dive bars,
Right.
comedy, nightlife. Well, what is nightlife? Comedy club or like techno rave?
Right, it could be a number of things.
What's the industry? Are you gonna hit all the industries? Is it gonna be specific to bars,
Ultimately,
specific to shows? I personally think that it's very easy to find shows and bars. There are relatively other, like jam-based, for example. There are people that are doing it, but it's harder to find those outliers, like the comedy clubs, the jazz clubs,
Okay.
the super specific targets, but like that may or may not fit with what your business is. So
Pop-up dining experience.
I think an easy fix to that is to categorize like what people are interested in when they sign up.
Or allow people
So, like,
to
if you're
develop
interested in sporting
preferences.
events, if you're interested in bars, if you're interested in restaurants or theater, you pick the different things on the opt-in.
Right.
And it's gonna lead you in that direction.
Right, letting the users decide what they want to
Let the
see.
user decide what they want to see.
Yeah. Tim?
Do you have an exit strategy? Like, how far would you like to go? Are you thinking about maybe selling it off to different larger companies, incorporating it with another thing? Do you have an exit strategy?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the goal is obviously to sell out to a larger company. Facebook actually has their own version of this. I'd love to just sell to a company like Facebook and implement something even better than what Facebook has. This is something that can be integrated with a lot of fun things as well. You can integrate this with Lyft or Uber. They've got an awesome map. Maybe you just pull up the Lyft app and you're like, where do I want to go tonight? And you can call a car to wherever venue it is. You can see everything right from there. So there's a lot of cool things you can end up doing with this. But ultimately the goal is to sell out because it's an easily copied app. It's apps. There's nothing patentable. There's nothing really. So.
Well, to Andrew's point, it's like if you're doing it the best, right? And you're giving the people the experience that they want.
Right. Yeah.
How many active users in a town like Chico would you need for the analytics to be meaningful?
No, I don't really know an answer to that. It's a good question. I'll have to think about that. It's a good
I think
question.
a heat map, that would be something that would appeal to a lot of people to be able to see location where I should be going. But there's probably some sort of, you need to reach a point until the analytics become meaningful.
Right.
Because if there's only 10 people.
You're not going to get the data.
I was thinking of like.
Interesting.
The
That's a good
population
point.
of a town and and then reduce it to the demographic and then look at least 30% of the demographic. But then that demographic would be, I would use it, I'm 54, right?
Right.
I use it, but I wouldn't be going to where the heat map shows me the hottest places.
Right.
I'd be going, where's the place where I can actually hear my husband?
Exactly.
categorized by industry.
Right, or
You need an introvert version where you can flip the switch and it shows you where it's totally dead.
Exactly.
That's right, I think that's where we're going, but, conversely, like, I'll see something pop up that say, like, Monk is having, like, a wine and cheese reception for that, and I'll be like, oh, honey, that's what we're doing, boom.
Right.
That's, so, and I don't drink, but I love art.
Right.
So, go, Andrew.
Yes.
So on all of these points, I think there's a consistent theme here, which is talking to people.
Yeah.
Have you talked to your target demographic? One thing that comes to my mind is, so Snapchat has a map with a heat map on it.
Yep.
Have you asked any of the Snapchat users how often they use that functionality of Snapchat and how they use it?
I know way too many people use it to stalk friends.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's not going out and
before we were turning 21, everyone used it to find parties. So you could find actually hotspots like out in the Avs. where people are posting, because it's based off of the number of posts, pictures you're posting. So we'd use it to find parties. You can find a bunch of people posting stuff.
So that's clever, but have there been like tons of other people using it for that same purpose?
Yeah, I mean, that's how everyone found the parties. If you weren't in the connection as far as knowing the house owner or in the group. But as far as talking to users, we did a lot of talking around on campus, classmates, stuff like that. On the heat map itself was probably the most interesting part for a lot of the users. Again, a lot of people are kind of stuck in a routine as far as, we're always going to Riley's on Friday. We're always going to the Bear Saturday. It's kind of how it always is. But especially traveling around, I mean, I'm not the only person to have experienced what I did in Chicago, where you have no idea what's going on. It should be a Friday night. Everywhere should be like packed, but you have there's nothing going on. And friends experience in San Francisco, San Diego, LA, a lot of people I've talked to, they've run into the same problem.
So the problem that you identified here is very different from the problem that is identified in LA and San Francisco. The problem here, you just said it, is, you're in the same routine. Well, you're in the same routine because there are only so many bars in Chico. Now, Chico has started to identify a few problems. Chico has started to identify there are only X amount of bars. They started to identify that there are only X amount of college bars. So you start to see all these other bars starting to pop up, right?
Right.
Argus, Winchester Goose, sure, college kids go there, but they're not really targeted towards the college kids. You're starting to get that middle young professional, right?
Exactly.
LA, the issue isn't that there is routine, the issue is that you're congested. There are so many things to do that you don't know where
It's kind of like overwhelming.
Yeah. And so circling back to what Andrew was kind of saying is focusing on that problem. Well, the problem that you're going to identify when you build this out for Chico is very different than the problems you're going to identify when you start building out for cities.
So maybe shift it away from college, town-based, and go towards bigger cities.
What you want to do and where you want your platform to go. And spending some time to do actual surveys, not just figuring out what users do, but actual surveys of how people utilize things, what they would like to do, is a very good starting point to figuring that out. But it also circles back to what you want to do. What problem do you want to solve? What city, what industry has the bigger issue, and where is there potentially more money for you to grow your business?
And or to, what I keep thinking about when you talk about the numbers you want, I know you need about something, is that I think it's great that you're starting out small because then you can refine and get some analytics, because some things are going to be, consistent. The problem may not be consistent, but dealing with vendors and make sure you're able to filter content, setting up templates, and that potentially has a lot of similarities. But I think working out the kinks is small, regardless of whether it's a college town or
city,
or
but
a suburb of LA or whatever, I think that has a lot of positives.
Right.
A lot of upsides to it, frankly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's something to think about.
And that was a few of the things we talked about.
Yeah.
Talking to the restaurant owners, with vendors, and then also creating some Google form questionnaires and polls to put out on Facebook and hit different demographics and start getting collective information from the different types of those practices. And then from there, kind of do it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
This is a great idea and a great presentation. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best.
Well, thank you all for coming.
And I'd like to say thank you for everyone showing up today. That's it.